Hi, Christine.
Hello, Sharon.
Hello, everybody.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Someone is listed as a participant with Council iPad 1240. I'm not sure who that is. Can you identify yourself?
That's me. I don't know how to change the name on here, but it's Pam Sebeski.
Oh, thank you.
No problem.
And now we have someone who's joined as Council iPad 1241.
Okay, that one's mine. Maybe the other one is Mr. Smith. 1241 is mine.
Okay. And now 1240 is not here anymore. At least they're not showing up.
Mr. Smith told me he was going to be joining us this evening. So like I said, it could be, but I don't know.
Okay.
Pam, I don't know if you can do this, but if you click on your screen, there are 3 little dots that come up in the upper right-hand corner. If you click on that, it will say rename.
Okay, when I click on that, it just gives me raise hand, chat, meeting settings, minimize meeting, background filters, and disconnect audio.
Oh, so yours doesn't, the last one is not renamed?
Disconnect audio.
Oh, okay.
I was looking for that because if it comes up, I've changed it a few times. I guess I'll just have to deal with IT. We just got these iPads.
Okay.
I may have to go back in and have them do something to change that.
Yeah. Okay.
But thank you for at least trying to help me try to do something different.
Yeah, sure. Christine, did Gary tell you he probably will not be here tonight?
Yes, he told me that he will not be here, and he made arrangements for Supervisor McLaughlin to fill in for him.
Okay, great.
And Chair Franklin, it isn't quite 7 o'clock yet, but I just wanted to let you know we do have a quorum, so we can start whenever at 7 o'clock or whenever you're ready.
Sounds good. We'll get started at 7. A little under a minute.
There's someone has joined with the name John McCarthy. Who is that, please?
It's actually Supervisor Vega, but it now reflects my name. So
okay,
thank you. What happened?
Okay, it is now 7 o'clock, so I'll call the meeting to order. Due to COVID-19 pandemic and related state of emergency, and as set forth in the Commission's Resolution 20-05-01 from the May 7th, 2020 meeting, we are meeting remotely again this month. The public access is being provided by live streaming the meeting on PRTC's YouTube channel. This information was on PRTC's website, Facebook page, and at the Transit Center, as well as being advertised in Inside Nova and the Freelance Star. We will follow the same process as before. Please state your name when speaking. I will introduce each item, then ask for a motion and a second. I will repeat the names of who made the motion and the second. I will then ask each jurisdiction if there are any comments or questions from their representatives on the item. I will then ask Christine to take the vote by roll call, and commissioners who need to leave the meeting should verbally advise me prior to leaving the meeting, so we can ensure that we still have a quorum and the time can be reflected in the meeting minutes. Are there any questions about the process from Prince William County, Stafford County,
Nope.
City of Manassas, Manassas Park, Fredericksburg, and Spotsylvania?
None.
And if not, we will now bow for the invocation. Lord, thank you for the opportunity to gather once again for the good of the public. We ask that this discussion tonight be fruitful and that we can move as one. In our son's name, our Father's name we pray, amen. All right, we will now move into the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Christine, will you please call the roll?
Yes, before I get started, we have someone who's called in from a phone number. The last three are 0031. We just want to make sure that we know who's joined us. So can you please identify yourself?
Hi, that's Supervisor Shelton.
Thank you. Okay, starting with the roll. Victor Angry, Andrea Bailey,
Present.
Kenny Bodie, Margaret Franklin,
Present.
Janine Lawson, Yesley Vega,
Here.
Pete Canland, Maggie Hansford, Kalai Kandasamy,
Here.
Kim Short,
Present.
Benny Smith,
Here.
and Wheeler. Okay, because we have several of our commissioners, regular voting commissioners absent, I'm going to ask Mr. Kandasamy to substitute for Supervisor Angry as a voting member. Kim Short, could you please substitute for Kenny Bodie?
Yes.
And Benny Smith, could you please substitute for Janine Lawson?
Yes.
All right. And if any of those supervisors join us, then you will go back to being non-voting alternates. All right, moving on to Stafford County. Tanisha Allen, Cindy Shelton,
Present.
Meg Bomke, and Thomas Cohen.
Here.
Because Supervisor Allen is not with us tonight, Supervisor Cohen will be a voting member. For the City of Manassas, Pam Sebeski
Present.
and Ralph Smith. Okay. We do have two different council iPads, 1240 and 1241. Both are showing up as participants. So if one of those is Councilmember Sebeski, I'm wondering who the other one is.
Can you hear me? This is Tim McLaughlin from Spotsylvania.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I might be one of those. I'm filling in for Gary Skinner. I'm the alternate.
Okay, do you have an iPad that would say Council Member 1240 or 1241?
I have no idea. I have an iPad, but
Okay. All right.
I know about the broccoli.
Smells bad to me.
Moving on to the City of Manassas Park. Jeanette Rischel,
Here.
Preston Banks, Alana Mensing, Daryl Moore.
Present.
Thank you. With Jeanette Rischel being present with us, Mr. Moore, or Councilmember Moore, will participate as a non-voting alternate. From the City of Fredericksburg, Matthew Kelly. I believe Mr. Kelly's with us. I think I saw him, right? Okay, not hearing anything. I will go past. And Jason Graham? Okay. From Spotsylvania, Deborah Frazier,
Here.
Gary Skinner, Tim McLaughlin. I know you're here because we just talked. And David Ross. And from DRPT, Jennifer Mitchell, Jennifer DeBrule, Todd Horsley,
Here.
and Steve Pittard. From the House of Delegates, Lee Carter, Elizabeth Guzman, and from the Senate, George Barker. Okay, Madam Chair, we do have a quorum, but I've been informed that Supervisor Bodie is now here and Supervisor Lawson has also joined us. So they are both voting members, and Kalai Kandasamy is serving as the voting member for Prince William County, substituting for Supervisor Angry. And that is the end of roll call.
Okay, that was a pretty rough roll call. Thank you. We'll now move into agenda item 4, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So
Supervisor
moved.
Bailey.
Second, Pam Sabeski. And
Moved by-
City.
Moved by Supervisor Bailey, seconded by Pam Sabeski. Is there a discussion from Prince William County,
No
Stafford
discussion?
County, City of Manassas, Manassas Park,
None.
Fredericksburg,
None.
Spotsylvania, DRPT,
No.
General Assembly. Christine, will you please call the roll?
Yes, and I'm sorry, before I do so, someone has called in from the phone number when the last 4 digits are 7630. Can you please identify yourself? The last 4 digits are 7630. All right, I'll let our people take care of that on the back end. If I don't know if that person should be in our meeting or not.
Madam Chair,
Excuse me?
I just want to be acknowledged by the chair. This is Supervisor Vega.
Okay, are you asking a question, or are you the phone number?
I have Supervisor Lawson on the line, and she's saying that she got kicked out and needs an additional password. It's asking her, but she's calling from that number, but she can't
Okay,
hear us, so.
okay. Carl, can we take care of Supervisor Lawson? Carl?
Well, does she have the invitations for the meeting?
Yeah, if she'll call back in, we'll admit her now. We have the correct number.
Okay. And I've also been informed that Senator Barker has joined us. Okay, going back to the agenda. Supervisor Bailey,
Aye.
Kenny Bodie,
Aye.
Margaret Franklin,
Aye.
Janine Lawson. Okay, I guess she hasn't made it through yet. Yesli Vega,
Aye.
Kalai Kandasamy,
Aye.
Benny Smith,
I'm sorry, Christine. I missed the last meeting, so I think I have to abstain. I was not present at the last meeting.
This is to approve tonight's agenda.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Cindy Shelton,
Aye.
Thomas Cohn,
Aye.
Pamela Sabeski,
Aye.
Jeanette Rischel,
Yes.
Deborah Frazier,
Aye.
Tim McLaughlin,
Aye.
Todd Horsley,
Yes.
and George Barker.
Aye.
Madam Chair, that resolution is approved.
Okay, we'll now move into item 5, approval of the minutes for the March 4th meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved, Madam Chair. Kenny Bodie.
Moved by
Second,
Supervisor Bodie. Is there a second?
second from Rischel.
Moved by Vice Chair Rischel. Is there a discussion from Prince William County?
No discussion.
Stafford County? City of
Nope.
Manassas?
No questions.
Manassas Park?
None.
Fredericksburg?
None.
Spotsylvania?
No questions.
DRPT?
No questions.
In General Assembly?
No questions.
Christine, will you please call the roll?
Madam Chair, if I might, there
Yes.
was, one member had indicated a concern as to whether she could vote if she wasn't at the last meeting. There is no prohibition on voting on the minutes if the person was absent. So it's a personal choice.
Got it. Thank you. Christine, will you please call the roll?
Andrea Bailey,
Aye.
Kenny Bodie,
Aye.
Margaret Franklin.
Aye.
I'll call on Janine Lawson because I'm not sure if she's with us yet.
She still hasn't logged in. She's saying that she needs the passcode after entering the meeting number.
Okay,
So, Bob or Carl, can one of you please give her a call?
Yes, I'll take care of it.
Yesley Vega, Supervisor Vega, do you want to vote on this or abstain?
I don't think I came across, I said abstaining.
Okay. Kalai Kandasamy,
Aye.
Benny Smith.
Aye.
Cindy Shelton,
Abstain, I was not present.
Thomas Cohen,
I'll abstain. I was not present.
Pam Sabeski,
Aye.
Jeanette Rischel,
Yes.
Deborah Frazier,
Aye.
Tim McLaughlin,
Abstain.
Todd Horsley,
Yes.
George Barker.
Aye.
Madam Chair, that resolution is approved.
Okay, we'll now move into item 6, the VRE Chief Executive time. So I'll turn it over now to Mr. Dalton.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening, Commission members and others. You do have this VRE CEO report in your packet, attachment 6.1 and the March 24th update memo, attachment 6.2. So I'll just speak to the highlights and update. As far as COVID, VRE continues to operate at a reduced service level, which is referred to as our S plus schedule. We continue to experience nearly 100% compliance with the federal and state mask mandates to date, and VRE staff continue to work primarily from remote working environments. Ridership for the month of March, we continue to see daily ridership gradually increase to slightly over 1,300 average daily riders, and albeit at a very slow pace, we do see that incline at this point. On-time performance for the month of March was consistent with previous months at 93% system-wide. Just wanted to mention on Tuesday, March 30th, myself and the chair of the VRE Operations Board, Elizabeth Bennett Parker, participated in an event with the Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, Governor Ralph Northam, Bill Flynn, CEO of Amtrak, and James Foote, CEO of CSX Transportation, along with Secretary Shannon Valentine. And this event was just simply memorializing the execution of various agreements for transforming rail in Virginia. As you recall, at your December 2020 meeting, the commissions approved 2 agreements with the Commonwealth. One was the operating access agreement that included additional service for VRE and a master lease agreement for stations. And second, a funding agreement to help fund planned infrastructure improvements over the next, planned infrastructure improvements. So over the next several months, I will be providing more information related to VRE's roadmap for implementing the planned infrastructure and service improvements. And that's the end of my report, Madam Chair.
Okay, and just to be clear, there are no action items for tonight.
That is correct, Madam Chair.
Okay. Are there any questions from Prince William County? Stafford County?
None.
City of Manassas?
No question.
Manassas Park?
None, thank you.
Fredericksburg? Spotsylvania?
None.
DRPT?
No questions.
And the General Assembly?
No questions, just one quick comment. Looking forward to seeing the progress on the Long Bridge that will radically improve the opportunities for VRE.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dalton. We'll now move into item 7, public comment time. Christina, are there any public comments?
Madam Chair, no public comments were received prior to the submission deadline.
Okay, great. We'll now move into item 8, the consent agenda. Items 8.2 and 8.3. 8.2 is acceptance of the monthly jurisdictional financial report that we do each month. And then 8.3 is for the Virginia Railway Express and PRTC Title VI program update for 2021 through 2024. Bob, do you want to speak to that really quickly?
Just for consent agenda items, they're very straightforward, including the Title VI program update for those on the VRE operations board that was also reviewed by VRE extensively at that last meeting.
Right. Yeah, can you give just a general overview for those not on VRE?
Sure. The Title VI program is Title VI of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which identifies that we provide adequate levels of service and take into consideration ethnicity, minority status, as well as economic status in the distribution of federal resources, programs, and funds. And part of our regularized process is we must submit a 3-year plan to FTA in order to be eligible to receive federal funds. Part of that is doing a survey of the environment, as well as using demographic information from census data, et cetera. VRE conducted their analysis and review, updated their plan, and it requires board concurrence before we submit to FTA. And then once the board takes action, we will submit to FTA as part of that routine process.
Okay. Is there a motion to move items 8.2 and 8.3?
So moved, Madam Chair, Cindy Bodie.
Second, Supervisor Bailey.
Moved by Supervisor Bodie and a second by Supervisor Bailey. Is there discussion from Prince William County?
No discussion.
Stafford County?
Just that I want to make a comment to thank you for all your work related to Title VI to getting this moved forward.
Thank you. City of Manassas?
No questions.
Manassas Park?
None, thank you.
Fredericksburg? Spotsylvania?
No questions.
DRPT?
No questions.
General Assembly?
No questions.
Okay, and Christine, I believe Supervisor Lawson is now in. Will you please call the roll?
Yes, although I've been advised that the way the motion was phrased was to approve 8.2 and 8.3. We need a motion to approve the consent agenda, which is 8.1.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move, Madam Chair.
Moved by Supervisor Bailey. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Who was the second?
Rischel.
Moved by Vice Chair Rischel. Do we need to go back through jurisdiction?
I
Sharon?
don't think so, but I will defer to Sharon.
No, I think you're fine. Why don't you just keep going?
Okay. Christine, will you please call the roll?
Andrea Bailey,
Aye.
Kenny Bodie,
Aye.
Margaret Franklin,
Aye.
Janine Lawson, I didn't hear a reply from Supervisor Lawson. Okay. I will assume that something happened with her communications. And so, Yesli Vega,
Aye.
Kalai Kandasamy,
Aye.
Benny Smith,
Aye.
Cindy Shelton, Thomas Cohn,
Aye.
Pam Sabeski,
Aye.
Jeanette Rischel,
Yes.
Deborah Frazier,
Aye.
Tim McLaughlin,
Aye.
Todd Horsley,
Yes.
and George Parker.
Aye.
Madam Chair, that resolution is approved.
Christina, I
For,
believe,
just for Supervisor Lawson, if she's having trouble with the mute button, *6 should unmute her for future items.
Christine, thank you. I couldn't remember that instruction. I'm an aye for that vote.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
okay. All right, we'll now move into item 9, Executive Director's time. So I will turn it over to Dr. Schneider.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. There are not any specific follow-up items from last month. However, I did want to let you know that we were in contact with our passenger who provided an email read aloud in the public comment time. We've engaged our planning team with her and her feedback, and our emphasis is ensuring there are available trips for customers where our ridership is highest to preserve the precious taxpayer dollars were provided. In each case that we've reduced routes or frequencies, we've worked to ensure there are redundant options. It may not be as direct or as convenient, but our commuter services are optimized for the mass group of travelers. Federally, there are 2 key items I wanted to bring to your attention. The American Rescue Plan provided another $35 million in transit funding, and about billion, and about 1.4 billion of that will land in the Metro DC area. We won't know, we'll see the lion's share of that, but we expect somewhere upwards of about $10 million in funding from that legislative package, equal to almost a full year of passenger fares pre-pandemic. It is always several months before those funds are formally carved into the varying pieces for each agency due to the varying formulas in place by FTA, as well as what is known as our split letter, plus the multiple regulatory and compliance issues that must be put in place as this legislation gets codified and translated into formalized law for distribution and the appropriations. Also, the Biden administration just this week proposed the American Jobs Plan, which includes $621 billion for transportation infrastructure, $85 billion of which targets transit funding for fleets. With more than 50,000 transit buses near, at, or beyond useful life, this would nearly double the federal funding for key programs that would help extend our local dollars. Clearly, this is in the very early stages, but we'll be watching the fleet and facilities components very closely. On the COVID-19 front, we are near or at completion of barriers on our local transit fleet. The commuter fleet is more challenging as designs haven't been as prevalent in the industry. Also, in good news, about 2 weeks ago, our employees entered the 1B7 tier of the vaccines distribution stage, and employees began receiving calls to schedule their COVID-19 vaccines. As we do not formally track this number, we're reliant on anecdotal self-reporting, but we understand a significant number of employees have already received their first vaccine and will receive their second dose in the next 10 to 14 days. Meanwhile, the state has opened a mass vaccination center at the former Gander Mountain store in the Potomac Mills complex. It was mentioned last month that our routes serve that location, and we have supplied press, public health offices, and general information about our routes and services. All local services remain fare-free, so there is one less barrier to accessing vaccines for the community at large. Operations is prepared to deploy additional vehicles if needed for when vaccinations are available to the general public. We continue to work with the Prince William Health District and county staff to help brainstorm options for those instances where no viable transportation solutions exist. Reminder for anyone wanting to learn how transit can help them access a vaccine site, 703-730-OMNI, or visit our website. We have some very talented and caring staff members who are happy to help. We're also excited to promote our forthcoming 20th anniversary of Bike to Work Day on May 21st. It's far out there, but we wanted to put that on everybody's radar. It's a great solo or socially distanced activity, a fun way to commute. and we will be helping to host 8 different pit stops in the Prince William community. Also exciting is the arrival of 2 new MCI commuter style buses. We placed that order about a year ago, and we have several arriving in the near term through a mix of funding that will replace or expand our fleet to be ready for the return of commuters. And over the past few weeks, I've presented at the Prince William Chamber Transportation Roundtable, the Prince William Conservation Alliance, and have been working with the Virginia Transit Association's Equity and Diversity Statewide Working Group. Next, I'm presenting next week to the Disability Services Board on a variety of programs, as well as several other civic groups in the coming weeks and months. Thanks to the commissioners that were able to come out and visit on Transit Worker Appreciation Day on March 18th. Keolis gave out some recognition, some prizes, and were able to show off our continuously improving atmosphere, as well as the brand new vehicles that had just arrived. Before I hand off to Keolis's General Manager, Barbara Murdoch, the information items are attached to the back of your board packet, and it offers an outline of her operational performance data and trends. After she's done her update, there's one thing I do want to mention related to the software that we use to manage our board meetings, et cetera. So I'll circle back to that. Ms. Murdoch.
Thank you, Bob. And Christine, the number you called out was that of Mike Ake, the Senior Vice President at Keolis. If you can unmute him, he is going to speak, or should he do the *8 that you suggested?
Yeah, if he's calling in on a phone, he can just *6 to unmute himself.
*6, okay. Thank you. And I'd like to thank the commission for the support of all the employees during these COVID times. Commissioner Franklin, Supervisor Bailey, constituents of Vice Chair Rischel came out for our Appreciation Day. And I don't know if you all could see it, but the employees were so excited to have you there, shake your hand, get the picture taken with you. And it was just really a fun event. We also are tracking our employees who are getting the vaccination as a self-report. Keolis should have that information as well. Today, Keolis is celebrating because today is our first day of service in Loudoun County. So our CEO, Aileen Franson, and our Senior Vice President, Mike Ake, have been in town visiting VRE. They spent the day with us at PRTC on Tuesday and interacted with the leadership, Commissioner Franklin as well. So if Mike is unmuted, I wanted him to be able to say something.
Thanks, Barbara. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I really appreciate the opportunity to visit with the PRTC staff and chair. Thank you so much for attending our meeting and our dinner to recognize the team for their excellent transformation of the operation there in PRTC. Could not be happier with the progress we've made, helping you enact your vision for transit going forward. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity and for the visit. And we hope to start now that travel is somewhat allowed again, we hope to start visiting on a regular basis. Thank you so much.
That's it for me.
Okay, and one thing I did want to mention specifically is we've been using a software package in order to help deliver some for the board meeting, and we're going live next meeting with the new web portal for our board meeting. It's a much improved process for the organization and administration of the commission's business. We've just evolved beyond what MS Office can deliver on a consistent basis between Word and Excel, et cetera. And we've followed the lead of a number of transit systems across the country in doing what most cities and counties have been doing for a long time. And it's better for our calendarization, for tracking information, for past meetings, materials, et cetera. And so this is a couple of screenshots of what you'll see differently in the coming months, and the portals. We're going to be scheduling some different opportunities for you to have a virtual walkthrough, but these are a few simple screen grabs of what you'll be seeing. We'll send out a detailed but easy to follow set of instructions that lets you poke and prod. But again, if it's necessary, we'll provide a virtual walkthrough of the software prior to the main meeting. Staff has been using this pretty consistently on the back end for a few months, and it's been extremely effective. With that, Madam Chair, unless there's questions, I return the floor back to you.
Thank you so much. And I just want to say to Barbara and Mike, thank you for inviting us out for lunch. It was great to hear from the staff and to talk to Aileen and Mike about just the work that Keolis has been doing over the past couple of months and, you know, where are we going moving forward. So I thought it was very productive discussion and I look forward to more of those. So thank you for that. All
Madam
right.
Chair.
Yes. And actually, I guess I should have asked, are there any questions from Prince William County Supervisor Bailey?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Right on point. I just want to thank Dr. Schneider and Ms. Murdoch for the wonderful job that you've done and just turning around to make the adjustments for riders to get to the places to get the COVID shot. Really made a difference on the Eastern Corridor, and we really appreciate you hearing our voices from the dais, no matter where we are. You made the adjustment and your servanthood is really recognized. So thank you very much.
Proud to do it.
Are there any other questions from Prince William County? Stafford County?
None, thank you.
City of Manassas?
No questions, thank you.
Manassas Park?
No questions, thank you.
Fredericksburg? Spotsylvania?
None, thank you.
DRPT?
No questions.
And the General Assembly?
No questions.
Okay, we'll now move into item 10 for an update on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Working Group. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Ben Matters, and I think I saw Nancy West as well on the call, so I'll turn it over to you.
Sorry, guys. Thanks for having me. I'll give you guys a brief kind of background of what the DEI is and who's on it, and then we can move into what we've been working on these past several months. So as it currently stands, we've got 13 participants, which makes up roughly almost 25% of OmniRide staff members. So I think that's a really good rate of inclusion there. It's a pretty diverse group. We've got our most senior member of OmniRide on it, as well as our least senior member, and then kind of many different departments ranging from customer service to marketing to finance to planning and ops. We have people over on the TDM side. So it's a broad breadth of all of the service delivery that we do at OmniRide. And so we get a lot of different opinions, a lot of unique opinions. For instance, we've got people like Joyce Emery, who's our head of finance, and she's able to kind of be our historian for, what happened 15, 20 years ago at PRTC. And then we've got, breath of fresh air, such as folks like myself, honestly, who hasn't been at OmniRide as long as some of the other staff members. We meet every third Thursday of each month. There was a point where we were meeting every 2 weeks just to kind of get through some stuff with the work that we've been doing. But we've been meeting virtually, which was kind of as we started this process of working through the strategic plan for DEI. It was really kind of a struggle to kind of get a grip around how to actually implement the meeting in an efficient way. Zoom definitely helped because the first couple meetings were just good old-fashioned conference calls, and you ask, does anyone have any questions? And there'd be that awkward 2-minute pause, and then everyone would jump in all at once. So Zoom has helped with that. And I'll get into kind of what we've been working on. So we go to the next slide, please. So the strategic plan that was prepared for us by Nancy West had 7 key focus areas. These come directly from that plan. And each of these focus areas have like sub-priorities where the group has made recommendations, they've created goals, or they've changed internal processes based on recommendations made in that strategic plan. So, you guys can read those. I won't read them to you. If you want to go to the next slide, please, I'll get into kind of the sausage making process, if you will. So for each priority, we broke up into smaller groups and had offline discussions about stuff like communication and awareness, accountability, talent development, all those 7 focuses. And we made, goals where they were appropriate. We made recommendations where appropriate. And we also implemented some stuff that we could do fairly easily. Stuff like more trainings. So then we started to do online trainings, things like the message boards, things like all hands meetings quarterly. Those were things that we hadn't necessarily done previously, but through the discussions with our smaller groups and then bringing that back and having larger group discussions at our usual meetings, we were able to to get the ball rolling on that. So we actually, in our past March meeting, just finished up on our last of the 7 focuses. We had a pretty robust discussion around that. And now we're in the process of now going back to each focus area and writing a report, right? So, it'll be focused on those 7 areas. And we'll be working closely with Nancy West on how to produce that and get something that will be a roadmap for us into the future. And with that, I'll just kind of go into what we've done so far. So we have these things called deep dive meetings. Barbara was actually part of one of them. She was great. These are opportunities where someone will kind of give a volunteer to give background on themselves as a person, because we're pretty siloed in general. So it kind of gets you able to know that person. And then they'll say, what their first job was, where they were, and then they'll get into what they actually do at PRTC. And so that helps. Cynthia Porter Johnson, who works in the grants department, gave one. And so I was able to better understand her role at the organization. Whereas if I don't really rub elbows with Cynthia on a day-to-day basis, I just kind of know that she's in the grants department. So those have been really good at breaking down those barriers between folks. The Gold Star program is a program where anyone, be it me, be it someone like Janae, sees someone doing something good, they can give a gold star. It's just like giving kudos. And then you can get the front row parking spot if you collect enough gold stars, or stuff like that. And so those little things go a long way to kind of build back a welcoming and open culture at OmniRide that may have been missing in the past. And with that, I'll take questions if you guys have any.
Are there any questions from Prince William County?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Matters, thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. I'm very proud of the work that you guys are moving forward with. I think it's great. Would like the opportunity just to support in any way that I can from a commissioner standpoint. So please let me know how I can do that. But I think this is simply cutting edge for the environment that we are supporting right now. So thank you for your efforts and your team's effort in this.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Are there any other questions from Prince William County?
Madam Chair, Kim
I'll make
Short.
comments last. Yes, Ms. Short.
Yes, can you all share your objectives with us and any metrics that you will be using to show improvement from your program?
Yeah, a lot of it will be, we're going to be resurveying. At the start of this, Nancy had done a survey of employees, both for, at the time, First Transit and OmniRide employees. So, it'll be Keolis and OmniRide employees. And so that's kind of a benchmark to see how satisfied employees are with the organization. And so we won't really change that survey up, just because then it would be kind of an apples to orange situation. Becky Mariner, our head of HR, has gotten a new system for how we will be processing our applications. So we'll be actually able to track better stuff around race and ethnicity for who's applying, if they're getting through to the next rounds and stuff like that. And once we start getting those metrics, we can really kind of wrestle with, are we making the proper decisions? You know, is this reflective of the community that we're in? And so those type of things will be very much in the works.
And I know we have some alternates who may have not have gotten kind of the first summary when you all started briefing us. So maybe Bob, maybe we can get some of that early information sent back around to the entire commission.
Yes,
Just
and one,
objectives and things
absolutely.
like that.
One of the interesting things that I think the commission will appreciate is now instead of having to email you something to print out and stick in a binder, these documents will be uploaded and embedded in that new software I was referring to. So now when alternates come on or commissioners want an update, it'll be clicks away for them to have that information, which will assist us, especially as we want to get back to doing orientations for our new commissioners. So it'll definitely assist with that.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions from Prince William County?
Yes, Madam Chair. I just wanted to, just hearing Dr. Snyder's voice, want to commend him also for these are some of the objectives for the diversity and inclusion program. It's part of his objective that we talked about during his review. So as a follow-up, I just appreciate that you're following through on this. Thank you.
Anybody else from Prince William County? Stafford County?
Yes, Madam Chair. Dr. Snyder, good job, and I will be reaching out to you to schedule that walkthrough. So, but good job. I'm looking forward to seeing that software.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. City of Manassas? Manassas
No
Park?
questions.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Vice Chair Richard?
thank you for the presentation. I'm very happy to see that this is moving forward. Just a couple questions. The first one, will the report be circulated to the entire commission, board members included?
Absolutely.
Okay. My second question is, are you able to give us an example of what would happen at a deep dive meeting?
Sure. Deep dive meeting, we changed the format a little bit. At first, we kind of went to everyone and said, what's going on with you? And we quickly realized that our jobs are kind of repetitive from a day-to-day basis. So it was kind of a repeat every 2 weeks. And so then we kind of came back as a group and really wrestled with how do we get to know each other better, especially, you know, OmniRide had added during the pandemic, we've added maybe 4 or 5 people. And so a lot of people just haven't met other folks, right? Whereas we'd have like a potluck around Christmas or something like that. And so you'd have those conversations. And so with the deep dive, what they ended up turning into was you pick one presenter, they give a background of, you know, what their life has been like up until this point, as much or as little as they want. And then they'll kind of give a brief overview of their work career. And then more specifically, they'd get into kind of what their job, their role and responsibility at OmniRide is. And so that way, you know, I use the example, I learned a lot about what Cynthia Porter Johnson does at OmniRide. You know, she's working with Title VI, she's working with GIS quite a bit, which I was kind of shocked because I only thought the planning department did GIS. So it was interesting to be like, hey, I'd like to pick your brain on some stuff with GIS. And so those types of things. And then the second part of the deep dive is we do a really off the wall icebreaker type question. And usually, you know, those can be painful, but we've tried our best to keep them, you know, as entertaining as possible. And so one was, you know, what's your favorite program that you watch? What's your least favorite program you've watched? And then what's your guilty pleasure? And there was a lot of odd guilty pleasures that people watch. And, you know, it was good because it is Zoom, I get that, but you're sharing laughter. You're kind of, you're breaking down those barriers that maybe then you'll have better workflows when you're at work.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Fredericksburg, Spotsylvania,
No questions.
DRPT,
No questions.
General Assembly. Okay, I know we talked kind of internally about the possibility of having a member of the commission join some of these meetings or groups for a myriad of reasons. A, to better understand, some of the challenges or some of the thoughts that employees have, and then two, to really show a commitment from the commission that we do in fact care about these issues and that we are listening. When people tell us that, certain matters are of concern. And so I think I talked to Supervisor Bailey about potentially, joining a few of these meetings. Mr. Matters, I know you wanted to kind of talk to your group to make sure that they were comfortable with having members of the commission.
I've been in contact with Ms. Montgomery on your staff, and you're more than welcome to come to the next meeting, which is the 15th, I believe. And if that doesn't work for your calendar, May or whenever. So yeah, absolutely. We'll get that sorted. I guess I just need to get the Zoom invite to Ms. Montgomery so she can pass it along.
Sure, and I guess I said that generally, because like I said, I know I talked to Supervisor Bailey about joining those meetings, and just to say to the rest of the commission, if there are people that may be interested in that, let me know, because we want to treat this as sensitive as possible, and we want to make sure that this is the working group that they have put together. We want to respect that process. We want to be sensitive to it. But if there are those that are interested, maybe see me, and we can talk about it and really talk to Ben and Ms. West to make sure that it's appropriate for members to join in on those discussions. So to Ms. West and Mr. Matters, we want to be as sensitive as possible. We also want to be engaged. So just putting that out there.
For sure.
Okay. All right. And with that, if there's nothing else, Ben?
No, not for me. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Now we'll go into item 11, to authorize the executive director to implement a 2% cost of living adjustment to PRTC employees. This specifically is a proposal for a 2% increase. And I'll turn it over now to Dr. Schneider to give more specifics. That's only 11.1, and then also 11.2 is to authorize the distribution of funds from CARES funding to give a bonus to Keola's employees. So basically our bus operators, our bus drivers, and those that fall under the Keola's contract. So Dr. Schneider, I'll turn it over to you to go into both of those items.
Yes, ma'am, and I'll cover those together, and then whether you bundle them as a motion or separate motions, either or, but I'll just flow one right into the other in the description. So for a very brief recap, about a year ago at this very meeting, we were stripping items out of the budget because of the uncertainty of the COVID-19 crisis. In short, there was no federal aid, there was no state aid. We did not know what was happening other than ridership was dropping 90% on our commuter services within a 14-day period. So very much a preserve resources, keep your powder dry approach and philosophy with our budgeting process. And we moved forward with the budget. The budget was approved. And again, we had proposed a modest 3% pay increase pool. That was removed, done in advance of that passage. And as we all know, we were terrified of what the impact would be on motor fuels tax levels. They stabilized within about 4 months. The Federal CARES Act, there was CRISA Act, now we have the Rescue Act, not to mention the blend of prudent fiscal management, the balance of our operating expenses. We've been able to stabilize our revenues and are able to offer a modest 2% cost of living increase for the public employees of PRTC To be very clear, we're not denying any PPE or equipment or any resource to an employee to get their job done as a result of this. We're not operating services because there won't be unavailable funding for services. Any adjustments we make to any service is really related to the number of passengers and what is good fiscal responsibility in matching resources to ridership. I do want to mention specifically that this does impact VRE, but Rich is better positioned to describe their process. It was a bit different as their budget had already been approved, but they did defer their compensation. So Mr. Dalton, do you want to provide a brief description of what your process would be?
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Bob. Just wanted to state, without duplicating what Bob just said, but as most of you know, VRE is an early adopter of our budget. So our budget essentially had already been adopted, approved by the commission. So prior to July 1, 2020, in concurrence with the VRE Operations Board, I deferred the FY 2021 COLA increases for VRE staff. And again, at the time, there was tremendous uncertainty as to, because we were just simply in those first few months of the current pandemic. And of course, similar to Bob, for all those same reasons, we're in a slightly different situation here now. So yeah, and just to add, I know in the resolution, it speaks to at least some cost elements for OmniRide employees. I just wanted to share that if we adopt the same approach that OmniRide is proposing, the cost to implement that is about $100,000. So because again, this was a deferral by myself with concurrence of the operations board to move this forward, I would just need to, I would need no formal action other than just concurrence from the VRE operations board. And I've already been communicating this with the chair of the operations board. So hope that helps. Thanks, Bob.
Yes, sir. Very
Madam Chair?
straightforward. Oh, I apologize.
Yeah, Madam Chair, this is Sharon Pandick. If I might interject, Dr. Snyder, I know it must feel like these are bonuses to employees because they didn't expect to get them. But we need to make clear on both this resolution and the next one that these are not bonuses. The resolutions have been very carefully crafted to make sure they're consistent with the CARES Act and the revenues that will be coming from the federal government as part of the COVID relief. Just want to make sure everybody got the nomenclature right.
That's a good clarification. Thank you for that.
Okay. And then on the second item on 11.2, this is distribution of funding consistent with CARES Act guidance for Keolis employees. This would be the equivalency of hazard pay, and that is eligible with CARES Act guidance. These are frontline workers. They did receive a pay increase in April of 2020 and are also receiving their pay increases in April 2021. So this is different from the public employees who had their cost of living foregone about a year ago. So what would do is just, in essence, for those employees that worked at First Transit but were with Keolis when they began service on November 1, they would receive a payment of $500. And then if they've been hired since November 1, $250. And to Sharon's point, to be clear, this is not a bonus. This is consistent with CARES Act guidance. These are employees who have been working consistently for the organization. It is time-based, and that those who've worked longer receive a higher amount of pay in direct proportionality to that hazard. And we're not limiting this to just drivers. It's for the entire Keolis operational team, the supervisors, the dispatchers in the office who have been interacting with the drivers every single morning and have that same connection. It includes our maintenance employees, which are servicing the vehicles, who are working sometimes shoulder to shoulder in order to do two-person jobs, et cetera. And it's an opportunity for us to recognize the fact that we've not closed our service a single time as a result of COVID-19. We've been there 6 days a week for an entire year and more. And we're very proud of the work they've done. And this recognizes that risk and what they put themselves through and the impact it's had on them. But ultimately, they've been the key to our success in being there for our community. So I'm happy to answer any questions. And again, to the same point, we're not denying any PPE. We're not denying equipment as a result of this. We're able to do this because we have fiscal stability, thanks to the CARES Act funding, the CRISA funding, and then the forthcoming amounts that'll come out of the American Rescue Act plan.
Yeah, and before we get into a motion, I will keep these separate just for transparency purposes. But just want to underscore that we're not taking away funds from any other service or operation in order to do this. Our operations will continue as normal as we get more ridership. We've made predictions and estimations within the budget for that time frame. So nothing gets put to the side in order to do this. And quite frankly, I think it's our employees have done a magnificent job over really some scary times over the past year. And I think this is something that we should definitely support. So with that, is there a motion to move 11.14?
So moved from Rischel.
Second,
Moved
Kenny
by
Bodie.
Vice Chair Rischel. Is there a second?
Second, Kenny Bodie.
Seconded by Supervisor Bodie. Is there discussion from Prince William County?
Yes, Madam Chair, if I could for just a second.
Supervisor Bodie?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to thank the folks on the team that put this together. Appreciate you supporting this, Madam Chair. I will be supporting this as well because I agree with you 100%. The cost of living is definitely needed, especially during these times, and the 500, 250 to Keolis-based employees. I think it's very well needed as well. These have been frontline workers since the beginning, and we need to value folks for their work during this troubling time. So thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Is there any additional discussion from Prince William County?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Supervisor Bailey and then Supervisor Lawson.
Madam Chair, thank you. Bob, I just want to thank you for the time that you took to go through this with me earlier. I appreciate it. I think, again, as Supervisor Bodie has said, in support of our wonderful staff that serves our community, I think this is necessary and I thoroughly support it. Thanks again.
Supervisor Lawson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm sorry, I'm driving down the interstate, so I can't look at the resolution, and I frankly wasn't able to prior to getting on the call. Bob or Rich, could you explain again the effects of VRE and specifically Keolis and spell that out for me again so I know exactly what I'm voting on and how it affects all the employees?
Yeah, so I'll start on my end for bus operations, and it can be a bit confusing because Keolis provides service for both VRE and OmniRide. So we'll just draw this distinction from the OmniRide perspective. What we're doing is we're proposing a 2% cost of living increase for the public employees of PRTC and OmniRide because we had stripped those out of the budget, so they are not formally included in the budget. So what we're doing is we're coming to you to get authorization by resolution to provide that cost of living increase to the public employees of PRTC on the OmniRide side. So that's that part of it. Then for us with Keolis, we're proposing a $500 payment for hazard pay in concurrence with the concept of hazard pay, consistent with CARES Act guidance for those Keolis bus operators, dispatchers, supervisors, maintenance, et cetera, who were on duty at the OmniRide for OmniRide services on November 1, 250 for those employees thereafter. What is distinct for Rich is that with VRE, they had already completed their budget. So there was they didn't need to have the same formal resolution to come before you. They just needed concurrence because it was by concurrence that they deferred implementing their already approved pay increases in their budget. So they already had it in their budget. We didn't. So we're bringing it to the commission for resolution through a budget, and then we'll implement. Rich just needs to get concurrence from his operations board or chair or whatever their legal team recommends for guidance for that. And he expressed he's in communication with Ms. Bennett Parker on that.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Bob. And I'm sorry, one more quick clarification. Bob, you said something about the amount will be dependent on how long they've been serving, but is that what that November 1 trigger is? Is that what you meant?
Yes, ma'am. And that's exclusively for the Keolis employees. So that's what that trigger is. And that recognizes those who've been working for a longer period of time and had the increased exposure and hazard, and those who've had less. So that's what that trigger is.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Supervisor Bailey?
Yeah, I just want point of clarity. Did we make the motion for both or only 11.1 or for both? And did you want them separate?
We made a motion for 11.1.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion from Prince William County? Stafford County?
None. Thank you.
City of Manassas?
No question.
Manassas Park?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This is very important because it acknowledges the importance of these staff members and how they have really stepped up to do their jobs during very difficult times. This is important. So thank you very much.
Okay. Fredericksburg? Spotsylvania?
No questions.
Hey, does this go in effect on 1 July?
This would take effect on April, for this pay period of April 1. And then we'll have a separate recommendation as part of our budget process for the July 1 period. So this is for this fiscal year. And then
So this will be a 2% for this fiscal year, and then you'll add what is the proposal for July 1 of next fiscal year?
Current pool is 3%.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
DRPT?
No questions.
General Assembly? Okay, Christine, will you call the roll for item 11.1?
Yes. Andrea Bailey?
Aye.
Kenny Bodie?
Aye.
Margaret Franklin?
Aye.
Janine Lawson?
Aye.
Yesli Vega?
Aye.
Kalai Kandasamy?
Aye.
Cindy Shelton?
Aye.
Thomas Cohen? I didn't hear a reply from Thomas Cohen. Okay, I'm going to move on. Pamela Sebeski?
Aye.
Jeanette Rischel?
Yes.
Deborah Frazier?
Aye.
Tim McLaughlin?
Aye.
Todd Horsley?
Yes.
George Barker?
Yes.
Madam Chair, that resolution is approved.
Okay, we'll now move into item 11.2, authorization to distribute funding consistent with CARES Act guidance to Keolis employees. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve 11.2.
Second, Kenny Bodie.
Moved by Supervisor Bailey, seconded by Supervisor Bodie. Is there a discussion from Prince William County? Stafford County?
Aye.
City of Manassas? Manassas Park?
No, Madam Chair.
Fredericksburg? Spotsylvania?
No
DRP
questions.
DRPT?
No questions.
And the General Assembly.
No questions.
Christine, will you please call the roll?
Andrea Bailey?
Aye.
Kenny Bodie?
Aye.
Margaret Franklin?
Aye.
Janine Lawson?
Aye.
Yesli Vega?
Aye.
Kalai Kandasamy?
Aye.
Cindy Shelton?
Aye.
Thomas Cohen? Pamela Sebeski?
Aye.
Jeanette Rischel?
Yes.
Deborah Frazier?
Aye.
Tim McLaughlin?
Aye.
Todd Horsley?
Yes.
George Barker?
Aye.
Madam Chair, that resolution is approved.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move into item 11.3 to authorize the executive director to execute an amendment to the existing Keolis contract to operate fixed bus routes and paratransit operations and maintenance services for operational costs related to the Western maintenance facility and ongoing COVID-19 mitigation. And so I will turn it now to Dr. Schneider.
Yes. So again, all things will be cloaked in COVID for quite a while. But one of the concerns is, as we had already been out on the street for a new maintenance and operations contract, COVID hit, and we were unsure what would be our fiscal stability, what would be the service levels, et cetera. And the way to move forward that provided enough budget flexibility, we had a proposal at the July meeting that adopted a new contract with Keolis, and we separated the Western facility expenses to be added later once we had a calendarized sense of when service would launch. So all 100% of the rates and costs associated with the Keolis contract that took effect on November 1 was without knowledge of any Western facility or what date we would launch services. Since then, of course, we have had the CRISA funding, rescue plan, et cetera, and we are now starting to see the data for operations to return, and it is now time to open the Western facility. Throughout December, January, and February, our staff developed an internal budget independent of Keolis for cost for what will it take for utilities, insurances, et cetera, and then independently projected what the staffing plan would be, what it would need to upfit the facility and provide items such as furnishings, operational expenses, parts inventory, et cetera. The way our contract with Keolis works, it's a risk reward shared system in which there is no revenue earned by Keolis based on how many hours of service they provide. It is a goal for them. We just basically cover their budgeted fixed fees, and then we're able to rise or lower the operating elements as we deploy services. So what this does is this gives us the flexibility to add the expenses of the Western facility. Those costs are listed in our budget. It is a projected amount of, bear with me one moment, $24,974,500. That was in the budget document that we had proposed at the, I believe the March meeting, March meetings, excuse me, were discussed. And then those have been provided and presented in detail. So what this does, this allows us to enter into the additional enhanced expenses that were not covered in the original contract and allows us to launch services out of this facility come June. It's a very, it provides a lot of flexibility to the executive director and accountability. I'll be very clear with that up front, because we have to balance the costs and not provide services that people aren't going to ride. We have to keep that powder dry, as I say a lot. But at the same time, we also have to have the flexibility to grow the volume of services should riders return. So one of the key things is we've reduced our total number of hours on the street, or in what we would expend for operating costs, by about $2 million. So having to balance that out is going to be very tricky. Otherwise, we're back to you every single month with budget amendments, and then we won't be able to launch services as quickly should we get a sudden surge of passengers back come August or September, especially come August where the commission doesn't meet. It would be a tremendous challenge for us to be ready for the riding public, especially as schools return, and there's heavy anticipation that the federal workforce will have that recall throughout August, September, and October in a phased ramp up. So that is the core essence. The remainder of the contract remains in effect. There will be a formalized amendment to this. Sharon Pandak will oversee the crafting of the final amendment, and it'll be authorization for me to execute that final agreement. And I'm happy to bring that back and share that with the commission for complete transparency.
Is there a motion to move item 11.3 forward?
So moved.
Moved by Supervisor Bailey. Is there a second?
Second, Kenny Bodie.
Seconded by Supervisor Bodie. Is there discussion or questions from Prince William County? Stafford County?
No questions.
City of Manassas?
No questions.
Manassas Park?
No questions.
Fredericksburg, Spotsylvania,
None.
DRPT,
No, no questions.
and General Assembly.
No questions.
Christine, will you please call the roll?
Andrea Bailey,
Aye.
Kenny Bodie,
Aye.
Margaret Franklin,
Aye.
Janine Lawson,
Aye.
Yesley Vega,
Aye.
Kalai Kandasamy,
Aye.
Cindy Shelton,
Aye.
Thomas Cohn,
Aye.
Pam Sabeski,
Aye.
Jeanette Rischel,
Yes.
Deborah Frazier,
Aye.
Tim McLaughlin,
Aye.
Todd Horsley,
Yes.
George Barker.
Yes.
Madam Chair, that resolution is approved.
Okay, we'll now move into item 12, chair's time. Just share a couple of things. Just want to thank Keolis again for inviting me out to lunch at PRTC with some of our management team and leadership, and was able to have a great discussion with Elaine and Mike about kind of the future of Keolis here in Prince William. I thought it was a great discussion, so thank you for that invitation. Also want to just acknowledge that we did celebrate Transit Worker Appreciation Day. Had a great time visiting PRTC and meeting with a lot of the employees and just thanking them for their service. And we handed out several awards. So it's always a good time when I'm able to stop by PRTC. So Barbara and Bob, please keep those invitations coming. And just want to, again, thank our transportation workers for all that you've been doing through the pandemic. We hope that the COLA increase is some semblance of our appreciation. Know it's small, but hopefully that just shows that we are serious about our commitment to our transportation employees. With that, I will move to item 13, other business, commissioners' time. Christine will call each name by roll, and if you have something to share, feel free. If not, you can pass. So Christine, I'll turn it over to you.
Andrea Bailey.
Yes, thanks, Madam Chair and Christine. Just want to thank the Keolis and the employees. It was really, as Madam Chair said, a very exciting and good time with them during the Employee Appreciations Day. And I commend that and promise that I'll do it more often. So thank you for all the great work that you do. Thank you.
Kenny Bodie.
Thank you, and appreciate your commentary, Madam Chair. I echo many of your comments. I think that this is a small step forward in appreciating our transit workers, everything that they've been doing since the onset of the pandemic, and more generally. I don't think that society at large values our transit workers nearly enough for the great service they do on the front lines every day, making sure that our economy keeps running, making sure that folks can get to work, to school, to doctor's appointments, to the grocery store, to the places that matter most, as we continue to evolve as a community here in Prince William and our neighboring jurisdictions that we're partners here in PRTC. I hope we can continue to find ways to show value, that we value our workforce out there. We continue to work forward together. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Have a good night, everyone.
Janine Lawson. Supervisor Lawson, are you still with us? Okay, I'll move on to Yesley Vega.
No comments.
Kalai Kandasamy,
I'm good.
Kim Short,
I'm good, thank you.
Benny Smith,
No comment.
Cindy Shelton,
No comment. Thank you.
Thomas Cohn,
No comment.
Pamela Sabeski.
I just want to briefly say that I really appreciate all of the work and effort that's gone in to try to keep everyone safe during this pandemic and even as we go forward. As someone said earlier, this is not easy trying to get people where they need to go, but our bus service really serves people that really need it. We've heard that in some of the comments in the past. So I just want to thank everyone at Keolis as well as at PRTC and VRE that are getting people moved around our region in such a safe way. Thank you.
Christine,
Ralph Smith?
before Mr. Smith speaks,
Except to
Supervisor Lawson,
underscore the words
Dr.
of Pam Sebesky, I have nothing else to say.
Thank you. Bob, did you have something that you wanted to share?
Yes, Supervisor Lawson wanted to apologize. She dropped the call again, but wishes everyone a happy Easter. That's her commissioner's time.
Jeanette Rischel?
I thank you. I echo the comments of all previous commissioners and wish everyone a very great April. Thank you.
Daryl Moore?
Yes, thank you, but nothing at this time.
Deborah Frazier?
Happy Easter. Thank you. Nothing else.
Tim McLaughlin?
Nothing.
Todd Horsley?
No comments.
And we'll wrap things up with Senator Barker.
Just briefly, just to build a little bit on what I commented on earlier. I mean, the agreement to be able to add two additional tracks to the Long Bridge, or to that area anyway, is a tremendous, going to be a tremendous asset for us in Virginia, and is going to help the entire metropolitan area. And Secretary Valentine and her team really deserve a lot of credit for tackling this huge issue that's going to require a massive amount of money and several years to be able to get it done. It's probably looking at close to 8 or 9 years at a minimum to where we have that done. But that will provide tremendous benefit, and they basically got it done during this one term of the governor from start to finish, piecing together a little bits for over the previous 3 years, but then finally getting the full package put together that's going to make it happen. This is more benefit to us in Northern Virginia and more benefit to particularly to VRE and others, and to the Amtrak expansions that we're doing in Virginia now. And we're adding, actually just approved funding to extend passenger service, which was initially went to Lynchburg, then it was expanded to Roanoke, and now we're going down to Christiansburg, down near Virginia Tech. And this will help with all those types of things and make a huge difference for people throughout Virginia. So, and it's hard to imagine how important this is going to be long term.
Madam Chair, that concludes Commissioner's time.
And thank you for that recap, Senator Barker. With nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Moved by Supervisor Bodie. Is there a second?
Second from Rischel.
Seconded by Vice Chair Rischel. All in favor? All
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Everyone opposes? No, just kidding. I'll see you next month. Thank you all.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you, Madam Chair, for the great meeting.
Thank you.
Night all.
Thank you. Good night.